techies, hustlers, friends. You're one step closer to getting the support you've been waiting for. To be mentored, funded, and pushed towards your potential. ViewSonic and Hustle Fund are teaming up. And we're calling entrepreneurs from all walks of life, backgrounds, and cultures to not only participate in a competition, but to be a part of a growth-oriented network. We're here to turn passions into professions, shape inklings into success, and add representation to an uneven playing field. So show us what you've got. Tell us what drives you. And together, we can overcome the limits set before us and do some actual good for this world. What have you got to lose? This is Acceleration for All. Enter the AFA Awards today.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Affies. I'm Irene Tu, and I'll be your host for this evening. It is so great to see so many of us joining us virtually tonight. I'm sad I can't see any of your faces on here, but on the bright side, you guys can't tell if I'm wearing pants or not. I am, but what if I wasn't? You wouldn't know. To be honest, most of you are probably at home watching this in your pajamas, so. The Affies, also known as the AFA Awards, celebrate the best in the startup world. AFA, or Acceleration for All, is the brainchild of a kick-ass team from Hustle Fund and ViewSonic, who believe that great founders can look like anyone and come from anywhere. I will be honest, when they told me I'd be hosting for Acceleration for All, I thought it was a NASCAR show. But turns out it has nothing to do with cars, and I am still excited to be here. As you may know, Hustle Fund is a pre-seed through seed stage venture capital fund founded in 2017 on the core belief that great founders can look like anyone and come from anywhere. They believe that these great founders need support to succeed, and through Acceleration for All, they are providing access to the capital, knowledge, and network that can make all the difference in their success. I'm just a stand-up comedian hosting this award show, but is there any way that I can apply for this seed funding? Because I too need support, capital, knowledge, and network. So if any of you investors want to get in on the ground floor of my comedy career, email me. I'm serious. I look like anyone and come from anywhere. So I could be a great founder. Like just this morning, I found where I put my car keys. It's pretty great. As you can see behind me, ViewSonic sent me one of their webcam monitors. This is the VG2440V, which coincidentally is one of my Southwest travel credit codes. I don't know if that joke is relatable to any of the investors in the audience, since you probably have never flown Southwest. You're all like, oh, well, I own a private jet and I fly business class. Also, our company that I started pays for all the flights. Well, okay, some of us don't have as much money. If you're not familiar, Southwest is like a middle-class Spirit Airlines, which is another airline you've definitely not flown. But ViewSonic is a global leader in display technologies ranging from monitors, projectors, commercial displays, and desktop virtualization products. With a heritage exceeding 30 years of developing award-winning products and services, ViewSonic helps the world to see the difference between the ordinary and the inspiring. They offer the most complete line of innovative display solutions for work, play, and education. ViewSonic created a campaign called Tools for Any Situation that featured their monitors being used for a startup called H3O. I knew it was a fake startup from the name, H3O. That sounds like a bad name for a local band. But I do appreciate that they created a whole new fake startup to show off their products. It's like the time that I made all of my friends come to my comedy show so that my parents could see me perform at a sold-out show. I actually loved the video campaign. If you haven't seen it yet, you should watch the videos because it showed off how versatile the products were for startups and small businesses. One of the videos featured the webcam monitor that I have here. And the guy in the video is really particular and he keeps adjusting the monitor back and forth. And my mind was blown. I was shocked. I didn't know that I could do that with my monitor. Like, they sent me one, and nowhere on the box does it say I can move it around. Like, oh, the screen just went blank. Sleep mode. Anyways, there we go. But yeah, apparently you can swivel this 90 degrees. Like, this is nuts. It's like a book now. I don't know. It's, oh, I don't know if you can see it now. Anyways, so I don't know. You guys got to tell me next time you send me something cool like that. All right. If I did that at a normal monitor, it would just be broken. There's also another video of a girl working from her portable monitor in Costa Rica. Brag much. And the third video has a girl drawing a design of a water bottle on a touchscreen monitor. So that's what it turns out H3O is. It's a water bottle startup. Again, sure, it's a fake startup, but I believe it, you know? There are some startups out there where I think, interesting. That idea is never going to work. I mean, obviously not all of the startups that you guys have that are watching this right now. I mean, all of your startups will be successful. I mean, the people who aren't watching this. By the way, speaking of people who aren't watching this right now, ViewSonic actually wants to give away a monitor if we have at least 500 viewers. So if you have some coworkers that forgot to tune in to the show, grab them, bring them in here, and if we get at least 500, you might be able to snag one of these. And even if you don't win a monitor, this is still going to be a great show highlighting some amazing founders and obviously some great comedy, you know? Yeah. So they actually asked me to host the award show this year to keep it fun. You know, I perform at a lot of virtual corporate events nowadays because of the pandemic. You know, we all had to start working from home and we were locked down for a while. Nobody could go outside and live stand-up comedy was dead. Like, I didn't have a job. I was just at home. So I had to learn how to do virtual comedy where I talk in front of my laptop. And I did a lot of Zoom shows. I'm sure you all are familiar with Zoom. We've all used it, been on it. And I actually went to a few birthday parties on Zoom. I feel like probably some of you have also did that peak pandemic. And that was very sad. There is nothing worse than hearing 30 people sing happy birthday to you, not at the same time, right? And you can't leave a Zoom party. You know, there's no good excuse, right? Like, if you went to a regular party, you know, when you go out, you go to someone's house and you want to leave, you're just like, hey, hey man, great party. Can I go to the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? And they point it out and you're like, okay, thanks. And then you go to the bathroom. You just go home. You leave. Nobody knows the difference, right? But you can't do that on Zoom, right? If you're at a Zoom party, you can't be like, hey, so I have to go to another room in my house. All right. Yeah, I would rather stare at the wall than be here with you. You know, like, there's no good excuse. That's just rude. So I have thought of a way to get out of a Zoom party. You can use this as well. You just pretend that your Wi-Fi stopped working, you know? But I started doing it like how you would do with the landline phone. You remember back in the day when you would be on a call, you're like, hey, I can't hear you. You know, you do like a little crinkle little piece of paper, like, I can't hear you right now. You're breaking up. But I'm just like doing that on the Zoom screen. So I'm like, oh, you're breaking up. And they're like, we can see you on the screen. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I just slowly exit the screen, you know. But I do think it's incredible that we're still all together here right now. You're all watching this show. That's like the power of tech. You know, we're bringing people in from all over the world simultaneously while we're stuck in our homes. And I hope that everyone here is safe. I know we're kind of in the second wave of this pandemic, or ongoing first wave, however you want to call it. A lot of people are quarantining right now. And I remember during that first big quarantine, I was just doing puzzles and baking bread. Like, that was the big trend. So I don't know if anyone here wants to take bets on what the trend will be for this quarantine. But I think that's a good idea for a startup. You just guess what the pandemic trend is going to be, and then you create a startup that sells that product. Boom. That was free. You can use this idea. You know I'm a comedian, but I also have some ideas. Yeah. If I had seed money, which I would gladly accept, by the way, if anyone wants to give me money. I would probably do something with vaccines or rapid testing. Just not anything with blood testing, because we all know what happened with Elizabeth Holmes. Too soon. Hopefully, none of you invested in that. You're not going to get your money back on that. Speaking of the vaccine, I actually got my booster last week. And I will be honest, I've been lying to people about which vaccine I got. So you probably know which one I got. Yeah, it was the Johnson & Johnson. Yep. You cannot tell people you got the Johnson & Johnson, right? Because they're always like, oh, how do you feel? A little sick? And I'm like, I'm here, all right? Shut up. I did. I got the Johnson & Johnson. I actually got it, after the 7 people got blood clots, which was a choice, because I could have gotten one of the other 2. And I was like, no, still going to stick with the J&J, right? Because in my mind, that line was going to be way shorter, Yeah, I would rather risk a potentially life-threatening blood clot than wait in line for 30 more minutes. That's worth it to me. Like, I drove up, they jabbed me, I left. I was like, wow, what a great experience. Hope I don't die, Actually did look up who got the blood clots before I went in, just to be safe, I didn't want to be in the Target demo for a clot. So I looked it up. Turns out they were all women, but they were all white. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm good, Like, no offense, white ladies, but you guys can't even drink whole milk. Yeah, I drink 2 glasses of milk a day. Like, my blood's been clotting the entire time. I've been prepping for the vaccine. I will say I hate that everyone who got the 2-shot vaccine is so snooty about it. I know you guys are out there, right? I feel like that was the private school vaccine, and then I got the crappy public school one. I'm like, it still works, okay? Yeah, and I went to public school, and I'm a comedian. So probably shouldn't have said that out loud. But I will be honest, I think I'm stronger than the 2-shot vaccine people. Yeah, because you guys couldn't even handle it all at one time. Yeah, you're like, give me half of it now. And then half a month later when I feel better. And I was like, no. Give me 100% of the vaccine immediately, right? They gave it to me. And the next day I was like, I feel great. I feel strong, actually. Like I'm gaining muscle. I'm growing a mustache. I think I got testosterone, actually. There was a little mix-up in the parking lot. They were like, it's free. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Why not? That is the one thing that's wild to me about the vaccines, that people are still not getting it and it's free, And as a Chinese person, I'm very offended because we love free stuff, right? Like, I'm showing up to these vaccine centers with Tupperware, like, fill it up, I'm going to eat this for lunch all next week. A lot of you probably live in the Bay Area, the startup capital of the world. I actually lived in the Bay Area for 6 years. That's where I started my comedy career. And people always know that I'm from San Francisco because, I look like a lesbian techie or something. But I'm not like from San Francisco. I'm actually from Chicago. That was where I was born and raised. And if you don't know Chicago, everyone there looks like giant piles of pizza. Yeah, it's a great city. But I moved to San Francisco. When I moved there, one of the first things that happened to me was I was walking down the street. This lady came up to me who I had never met before. Very first thing she said to me was, I'm not trying to be racist, but so the next thing she says is going to be extremely racist. She goes, I'm not trying to be racist, but when you laugh, can you see? Yeah. And I didn't know how to respond, but after I'd stopped laughing, she had vanished. So, all right, that's going to be it for me for the stand-up portion of my set. Don't worry, there'll be more jokes throughout the course of the night. But tonight, it's not about me. It's about our founders, right? Not our founding fathers. Not our founding fathers. That was a little bit of a... Anyways, it's hard to keep talking for a long time. But it's about founders tonight. And we've looked for amazing people all over the world who are starting a business. And from this field of 1,500 entrants, we narrowed it down to 20 finalists. And tonight we will announce the 5 winners. So throughout the evening, we will have special presenters to help me introduce and interview our guests. And because Hustle Fund did not think that I would be funny enough to keep you around for the whole show, they asked me to throw in a couple audience giveaways from their merch store. You may have seen their t-shirts around on Twitter with the hippos, their slogan, "Be Nice, Make Billions," minivans. I actually have the "Be Nice, Make Billions" mug right here. I drink out of it every day. Oh, I'll show you. There you go. There's the mug. Drink out of it every day, hoping it'll come true. That is how manifesting works, right? I don't know. There you go. That's another $1,000 apparently. And if you're here watching the show, you are eligible to win. So our first winner tonight is Erica Ebby. I hope I pronounced your name, last name right, but you won. So congratulations. And now I would like to bring up someone who is much smarter than me. You may already know Mary Ann Azevedo is one of our esteemed judges, but perhaps more importantly, Mary Ann has her finger on the pulse of the startup world as a senior reporter at TechCrunch. With more than 20 years of business reporting and editing experience for publications such as Forbes, Crunchbase, and Silicon Valley Business Journal, I'd say she's more than qualified to interview tonight's guests. So please welcome to the stage, Mary Ann Azevedo.
Thank you, Irene. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm also very excited to welcome our first guest of the night, Elias Torres. Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
Good, good. I have the dishwashers running in the back. Let me know if I have to turn it off.
No worries, no worries. So Elias is the co-founder and CTO of Drift, a conversational marketing and sales platform that achieved unicorn status last year. Elias, am I saying your name correctly? Please correct me.
No, absolutely not. It's Elias.
Elias, apologies. I practiced that beforehand and I still got it wrong. Elias previously served as the VP of Engineering at HubSpot and the VP of Engineering at Lookery. In addition to starting, advising, and helping early stage companies, Nicaraguan-born Elias, right, is passionate about building winning teams and supporting Latinx entrepreneurs across the US. So Drift has been around for a little while, but one thing I'm curious about is how did you and your co-founder, David, come up with the idea for it? How'd you get started? Who were some of your first believers?
Absolutely. So it's a long story in the sense of David Cancel, who's the CEO of Drift, him and I have worked together in 4 companies in a row. So we've been partners for over 13 years now. And so it's kind of like disease, sickness that we have in our heads that we like building companies because it's a very difficult task. I think that there were several things that we thought about when we were at HubSpot, and we had just we were at the cusp of HubSpot going public, right? And we felt that there were a lot of things that led for us to do and to prove. I think as immigrants, as Latinos, we have like a big chip on our shoulder, right? And we're looking around for role models of great founders that had built multi-billion-dollar companies, and there was just very, very few of them. And so we felt that with the experience that we had gained, we had to take a big chance on ourselves and start something from scratch and go work on it so we could learn, right? And inspire others to do the same, you know? And so we kind of started from that perspective because we wanted to create a company that inspire a new face of diversity in corporate America. And so we started by putting people together first, and then we worry about the actual problem that we wanted to solve. And so we did at the beginning a little bit of exploration. I would say the first few years, never want to be married to any specific idea because pride sometimes gets you most of the time. And so we wanted to make sure that we found something that was a really, really big problem that people needed, and the timing was right. And that's kind of where we married a big observation that the whole world was, you know, this is around 2015, right? Where the whole world is switching to messaging, but yet we're still not using messaging to engage customers on our websites through conversations, right? And so we decided that was the right time because everybody, including, you know, grandparents and and people all over the world using WhatsApp, using iMessage. And yet in business, it was not a common practice to have messaging on the website in real time. And so that's kind of where everything came together, and we went full steam ahead to build the company Drift that we built so far.
Yeah, well, since that launch in 2015, the company Drift has accumulated over 50,000 users.
Businesses, yeah,
more than that, maybe by now.
Yeah.
So tens of thousands of users, over $100 million in funding. You've achieved unicorn valuation. And last time I talked to David, I think he told me that you saw 70% growth in ARR in 2020. So in a world where so many startups fail or just can't make it, what do you think was really the secret behind your success, besides the fact that you had already had experience starting 3 other companies together?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're very fortunate, right? It's like everybody sometimes thinks that everything happens in the first go around, and you're going to get all the funding on the first time you go and start a company and so forth. But the reality is that I partnered with David, someone that had prior success himself in the first companies that I worked with him. And so you build a reputation and relationship with investors, right, that trust you as a person, right, to get it right or to make a mistake, right? You want to find the right partners that believe in you. So it's important to have done that. What we did at HubSpot, we made a lot of successful companies, investors. And so next time when we said we were leaving, they were wanting to support us. So it's a very special position that we were in. But the reality is that we got rejected in many of our rounds by many firms. And we had a lot of no's, right? And so it's about being persistent. It's about recruiting and bringing together the right team. Talent is very attractive to investors, right? Because those are the people that are really operating and building the business. But I would say most importantly is that you have to build something of value, right? That is really it's really validated by customers, right? When customers say this is valuable to me, I think sometimes we focus too much on maybe a change a little bit of life and simplicity and productivity. But what people are looking is like, how can we make a big impact in our customers' lives, right? So if you do that consistently on a large market, then everything will start coming together. But that's just to get started, right? The journey as an operator, as an entrepreneur is much more difficult than that. But that's the beginning.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, you were born in Nicaragua. You moved to the U.S., I think, when you were about 17. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So as I understand, you grew up, you were raised by a single mother. You didn't maybe have access to some of the privilege that other founders may have grown up with. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this upbringing of yours may have influenced you as an entrepreneur, as a leader? I personally feel like it's very interesting to talk to founders who come from a diverse set of backgrounds, because if I'm talking to people who all have very similar upbringings, then it gets boring. So I'd love to hear more about how you feel like how you were raised and brought up has influenced you as an entrepreneur and as a leader.
Absolutely. I think that I got lots of stories that are very different than most of the stories. There's definitely no private schools in the burbs of Massachusetts or fancy schools early on. I did go to one fancy school once. But the reality is that, let me see what story I give you. I would say growing up in Nicaragua is a communist country when I was growing up. And really what was happening there was that to get anything, survival, it was all about the hustle, right? As for example, when I first came to the United States, you need to get a passport. And so to get a passport, it is a very complicated process that no one really knows the answer of how you get a passport, right? And so there is like an area where you would go apply for it, and there were like 10 steps, all out of order. And in every window that you would go and stand in line, it was a different process, different mechanism. If you didn't get it right, you were not going to get a passport. And so like I would go with my mother, and it's a constant as a child. You have to always be. I would be listening to her. And it's like, stand in this line, talk to this person. If this person says this, you go there. So you have to have this hustle mentality, and that I had to stand in lines to get food for my family. I had to stand in lines wherever you go. I'm always to this day keep an eye out. I get to somewhere, I'm already thinking, where are we going to sit? Stay here. I'm always optimizing because I come from a place of scarcity, right? And so when you use that as an entrepreneur, right? Whenever there's a problem, all I think about is like, how do I go about solving it, right? What is the workaround? What needs to be overcome? Because that's the mentality you grow up when you have nothing, right? And so I think that just makes it very special, because a lot of people struggle, have a lot of anxiety, and then like have a lot of fear of like not being able to overcome a challenge in like a pandemic, or like not fundraising, or not having enough cash or customers. And I'm drawn towards those situations, right? I like to solve that, and I'm not worried about the outcome, whether I succeed or fail, because you started from nothing. I started from nothing, right? So.
Well, that's very admirable. I think we have time for at least one more question. Can you share a little bit about what you are doing or have done to help support Latinx entrepreneurs across the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that, I went from food stamps in this country. I went to, yet this is, I think, the most amazing country in the world, right? This is the country that I call home. And despite the inequities in the system, there's also amazing opportunities that I wouldn't even have in my own country, right? Where everybody is like me. And so, for example, things that happened to me in University of South Florida, I got a scholarship that allowed me to go to college without coming out of it in debt. I had people that helped me apply for jobs at IBM and David, investors. So I've been supported in so many ways that I am very fortunate for the success that I have had personally. Then now it's my time to pay it forward, right? And so, for example, one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm sponsoring women in STEM and computer science at the University of South Florida through the same scholarship that took me through college, right? And so I'm really, really fortunate. I've been helping a lot with different nonprofits here in Boston during the pandemic to support the community that was struggling, Latinos, Blacks. A lot of those neighborhoods were disproportionately affected by the pandemic. And so there's many things I was able to do during that time, and still do today. I'm supporting entrepreneurs, advising, investing, connecting, hiring. And I'm realizing that it's really the best thing for me for the next step in my life, right, is to be able to share from the learnings. And my focus is really share all the lessons I've learned, right? Not hold back, because information, knowledge is power. And it would be a great encouragement, right, for minorities to be able to have access to capital to support their ideas, their mission, their vision, right? And so really excited about what I've been able to do while I still, keep working on Drift and helping accelerate its growth towards an IPO, right? And so it's been humbling, and it's sometimes overwhelming, because I think there's a lot of pressure from everybody. Help here, you should be doing this, and there's a lot to do. But I think everybody should just educate themselves and just start somewhere, right? Not really get too stressed about it, but just help out.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's certainly very inspiring, and I'm sure that you're an amazing role model for so many people. So thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you. Have a good night, and good luck to all the founders and their companies and their fundraising.
All right, keep it going for Elias Torres, everyone. That was so inspiring. And now I'm like, wow, I really have to start getting out of bed before noon. I have no excuses. But really, that's amazing. And let's keep it going. All right. And now to the part of the show we've all been waiting for. We will be revealing the winners of the 5 awards over the course of our show. So we have Best B2B, Consumer, Frontier, Creator, and the winner of the People's Choice Award. Over 1,500 founders applied in the fall of 2021. Judges whittled it down to 100 semifinalists in November. And our 5 winners tonight are chosen from 20 inspiring finalists from all over the globe: Africa, Asia, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and the United States. Sadly, nobody from Antarctica, but maybe next year. The winner of each category wins mentorship from Hustle Fund, funding, and a killer new office setup from ViewSonic. So let's get to it. For our first category, Best B2B Supporting and Empowering Businesses is the name of the game. Fun fact, I recently learned yesterday that B2B does not stand for bed to breakfast or breakfast to bed. Either way, there is no bed or breakfast involved, just a lot of businesses. The winner of this category will be a product or service that provides an innovative solution that other businesses cannot live without. And this would not be an award ceremony without an opportunity to highlight the finalists. Without further ado, let's introduce the finalists in the B2B category. And to announce the winner of the Affies Best B2B, I'm excited to invite one of our judges, co-founder and general partner of Hustle Fund, to the stage. Please welcome Eric Bond.
Thank you so much, Irene. Very, very excited to have the honor to announce the B2B, business to business category winner for Acceleration for All. And I want to remind folks out there that all of our finalists that you see today, we have detailed backgrounds about the companies, their pitches. You should really go and check out some more context about what these businesses are all about. And you can do so by visiting our website, which is afawards.com. It's really awesome to just watch the stream of pitches there, and I think you're going to be super inspired. Okay, so without further ado, it's my honor to announce the winner of the B2B Affies. I got this mailed with insurance yesterday, just arrived. And that winner of the B2B Affies is Roberto Inetti of RoboAmp. Roberto, congratulations. I think you're in the audience, so we're going to bring you up to the stage. We're going to spend a few minutes learning about you and congratulating you and hearing about what gets you excited about RoboAmp for the coming year. So congratulations, winner Roberto Inetti. As we're waiting, and this is an online session, so it's always going to be a little bit janky. I just want to get you excited, tell you a little what got me so excited as a judge and watching Roberto's pitch. So RoboAmp is on a mission to make websites ultra fast on mobile. So if you're like me, when you wake up in the morning, it's not just like you hit the alarm and then roll out of bed, like ready to take on the day. It's normally 90 minutes of me doom scrolling, one after the other on a variety of websites on Reddit. And some of those websites are frustratingly slow, right? It's even in 2022, there aren't that many mobile optimized websites out there. And what RoboAmp is doing is creating a framework that makes this super fast. And pretty much, I think every business on the planet could use this. Every big brand, every small company, whatever you want. So I see that we're bringing in Roberto. Hello, sir. Congratulations to you.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. This is such an honor. I'm speechless.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're delighted and honored that we get a chance to support you in this journey. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on in your mind right now to be selected? What does it mean to win this B2B award?
Well, it's always, a pleasure. I know there are so many talented, not only entrepreneurs, but people working in amazing ideas. It's a privilege. Obviously, I have the utmost respect for everyone who participate even in this type of competitions.
Yeah. Was so gracious, Roberto, and I'm so excited that we can spend some time to actually see and recognize you as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about RoboAmp, and what is it that gets you excited about 2022 and what your team plans to build? There's a lot of companies out here that might be potential clients for you even.
Yes, I mean, obviously everyone should be using RoboAmp. No, I think, going a little bit about why we started the company, if I may, just very quickly, is we are very passionate about what we do and we love the web. What Irene was saying earlier about how we are connected. I think the technology is amazing because it brings us all together. But the reality is 2022 and the mobile web is still broken. Many of you have websites that are so slow that people are bouncing out of your websites and you're not converting or not reading your content or not buying your stuff. And with RoboAmp, obviously super biased, but we came up with this solution where it's just one line of code and your website automatically, like by magic, is going to load in average in 1 second or less on any mobile device. So we are super excited. We actually just, we just got accepted. We started Techstars. We are in our 3rd day in Techstar Austin. So a big shout out for everyone. But a lot of people has been part of our journey, and I'm more than grateful for every one of them.
Well, thank you so much for taking on the challenge to fix the internet. And I actually don't think that is an exaggeration at all. I mean, if things go right and people use your services, I'm going to be, being able to triple, quadruple, quintuple my doom scrolling, but not actually beyond that, just like enjoying the web as it's meant to be actually on my phone.
Exactly.
So I really hope that folks check out roboamp.com. And Roberto, we're going to be following up, you and I, to do some more work together to make 2022 kick ass.
I would love to. Thank you so much, everyone.
Congratulations. Cheers to you.
Bye.
Congrats, Roberto. He solved a problem that we have, and I was, I haven't really been able to interact with the audience yet, and I've been able to read some of the comments in the chat. So I thought before I, bring up our next guest, throw it in the chat what problem you want to get fixed. Like, what is something that really annoys you? It could be, it's something that's not important at all. It could be something where, like, if somebody solved this, they would be a millionaire. Maybe save that idea for yourself. But, just comment in the chat what problem you would like to get solved, and maybe we can figure it out, as a team. We got any ideas? We got a thumbs up for Roberto. Oh, COVID. Well, I would love for someone to just invent something to cure COVID immediately. Pajama jeans. I don't know if they have those, but I think they do have jeans now that are kind of like workout jeans. Oh, somebody said there already is pajama jeans. Robot chefs. Love that. I did see a video of a robot playing basketball the other day, and that was a little bit frightening to me. There's conspiracy theories, authoritarianism, global warming. Those are all. If we could just solve that with one invention, that would be incredible. Ocean plastic, hiccups, climate change. Oh, B to B to B, breakfast to business to bed. That's funny. Protect voting rights, self-cleaning dishes. I think you're looking for a dishwasher. That was invented quite a while ago. But someone tell Chris that about dishwashers. I think he might be stuck in a different decade. All right, yeah, keep throwing them in here. I'll read them throughout, and I will bring up our next guest, who is Trisha Ting, the Global Creative Director, aka Mama Ting at ViewSonic. In 2019, Trisha took the plunge and jumped from working at ad agencies to leading the in-house marketing team at ViewSonic. I'm told that Trisha gets excited about big ideas, great food, and traveling with family. I love all those things as well. So please welcome ViewSonic's Trisha Ting.
Hi, Trisha. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
Hey, Mary Ann. Nice to meet you.
Let's start out with a really important question. Why is branding so important for startups?
Well, any startup, whether it's big or small, B2B, B2C, fintech, I believe that every startup should have a brand, because if you don't, you're just a commodity. And, as a commodity, it's just features and price, which we all know long-term is not actually effective. And also, as a startup, you are introducing yourself to the world, and you want to make sure you put your best feet forward. The first impression is really important. So it's good for you to have done your research, figure out what value you bring to the table, and what you want people to get out of, your startup. And so it's something that I truly believe is very important, no matter how big or small you are.
Right. I feel like a brand is also translates into an identity, right? Like it helps differentiate one startup from another, even in the same categories or similar categories.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so I think it's important that, as a brand or as a startup, you need to do your research, right? You need to figure out who your competitors are. You should really survey the landscape and find out what your competitors' unique selling propositions, USP, we talk about that. Find out what their USP is, and so that you don't do the same thing they're doing and it's almost like a copycat, like a Me Too brand. You want to actually have your own voice. And, and then also having a brand, people will recognize you, right? It's something that whatever your voice is, your tone and manner, the look, people will recognize you when they need your service or a product, it'll stand out. And then with loyalty, you want people to keep coming back to you. So that's really important. So no matter what's going on in the market, price point, or, just in terms of the competition, you'll always be loyal to the brand. And so I think that's really important.
Right. Well, let's say a startup, is trying to think about, how do I create a brand? How do we create a brand that is well suited for what we're trying to achieve? Can you provide some tips? Because I can imagine that's really daunting for young companies just starting out.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, I come from a design background, and I've noticed that my friends who are in advertising and marketing, the first thing they think about is brand. And I think a lot of startups that don't have that kind of expertise or background, they don't even think about branding. It's almost like the last thing they think about. They're thinking about more, analytics and data and ROI, KPI, which is great. But in the end, you really do need to think about your branding from the get-go. It's what you build your foundation upon. So the first thing I would say is really brainstorm with your team members. Whether you have a co-founder or you have a small little team. If you don't have a good strong foundation, it's hard to grow from there. So doing your research is really important, and then finding out, like I said before, your competitor, right? Finding out what they're doing, how they're reaching their customers, and then even in terms of their voice, making sure you're telling your story, you're creating a brand narrative. I think that's a storytelling is also a very important aspect of your brand. And so having a good copywriter is actually really key. It's they can help, sometimes we call it the manifesto or the about us page, on the website link. And then from there, you may come up with a tagline even, if that's something that, eventually when you get bigger, a tagline actually can help people remember who you are and what you stand for.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important. I think from a journalist perspective, even branding is important, because if I can't understand what a company is doing, then it makes it very difficult to want to be able to cover them or write about them. So I can imagine it's the same thing for customers. If they can't understand what a company is all about or what exactly they can help them with, then they're not going to want to give them their business, So I think branding is crucial on a lot of different levels. I'd love to hear any personal experiences you've had in the past with helping a startup build a brand.
So it's interesting because when I was pregnant with my first child, and then I kind of left the workforce, and I decided to stay home, freelance, and take care of my child. And actually, it was that was when I had the most opportunities to help startups. It was just really interesting to me how like it opened up a lot of doors. And so I had a lot of different experiences, and I guess I can give one that's more of a personal experience where my husband and I decided to, we got an opportunity to help brand a bakery. And that, I've never done restaurant or cafes or anything like that, but it's almost like no matter what you're doing, like branding's always the same, in terms of like finding out, doing your research, figuring out, what you stand for. And at the time, we opened a bakery, and we decided, how can we differentiate ourselves from other bakeries around us? And at the time, like buzzwords like organic and gluten-free was kind of really hot. And we decided, hey, you know what? Let's make gluten-free rice flour cakes using organic or very natural ingredients. And so we decided, okay, that's going to be our niche in a sense, what we're going to sell. And then from there, it was like creating the logo and coming up with the name. He came up with the name Eat Cake, which was we thought was really fun because it was like the CTA is actually built right into the name. And then for me, I love creating logos that are very conceptual. So I used the E in the Eat Cake, and I realized, a dessert fork actually has 3 prongs. So we turned the fork on its side, and that became the E. And we used that fork actually for all our touch points, like all our consumer touch points. So packaging, even t-shirts we designed, wall decals. I mean, we kind of took that fork and it became like our symbol, like our brand. And
I love that.
Yeah,
it's
so
really creative.
It was really fun. It was really fun to come up with an idea like that. And then our voice, we want it to be kind of whimsical, and we want it to be inviting and kind of fun, like almost like you're having cake with a friend. And so our packaging had really fun little sayings like "eat me," you're drooling, like yum. And then even the napkin had a line that said, "Oh, you missed a spot," And so it was almost like you walked into the cafe, and you were surrounded by our voice, our brand. And the colors even that we were choosing, like I think it's really important when you start to create a brand, like you put together like a simple brand guideline. It doesn't have to be like a 50-page deck. It could just be, just a simple, like each page can kind of have, for example, one page could be about your font, one could be about your colors, one is about how you lay something out, even like on social media where you put the logo, what colors you would use. What images you would use, like even the images of like what type of imagery or illustrations or icons, like that's all really important, especially if you have a website, you got UI, UX, you got to like make sure everything is all like coherent and in sync. What I think the biggest compliment we got was people coming in and asking us if we were a franchise. And so that was like to me, it was like, that was our long-term goal. I mean, in the end, we didn't continue for reasons, but it was like our goal was to possibly franchise in the future, and so we wanted to create like a turnkey, whether it's the brand and also like operations, like everything, where someone could come in and take what we've done and just duplicate it easily.
Yeah, it sounds like everything was really cohesive, all the different elements, and that's the goal. Well, Trisha, this has been super interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on branding, offering tips, and giving us an example of something really cool you've done in the past. I found it really interesting, and I think other founders are going to as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Trisha Ting. And before I bring up the second category, I went through the comments to see a few more of the ideas that you guys had. Stop to spam text, please. I would love somebody to fix that. Washer, dryer, ironer. I would also like that, but may I suggest maybe a maid, or just take it in to one of those, you drop off your laundry, you pick it up. I feel like that's problem solved. And then someone just said consumer debt. Well, you may just need to take care of your finances. All right, and now to our second category of the night, best consumer. I was told that I could not win this award, even though I consume 5,000 calories a day. Feel like I should get a prize for that. I have a fast metabolism. But some founders see the world through the eyes of individuals. There are a lot of products out there, but this Affie goes to the one that not only fills a need in the market, but will make the world a better place, one buyer at a time. So our finalists in the best consumer category are
Thank you, Irene. Hi, everyone. And thanks so much for joining us at the Affies. It's been an exciting journey working on this awards program with the ViewSonic team. And like any big event that you apparently have to eat 5,000 calories for, it's hard to believe we're here honoring the finalists. The best consumer category was a close competition. And as Eric mentioned earlier, I encourage you all to take a look at the founders' pitch videos at afaawards.com. But we had to pick a winner. So let's get to that envelope, please. The winner for the Affie for Best Consumer Startup is Telecom, founded by Tavis Schreifer. All right, while we bring up Tavis, you know, this isn't really the Oscars, so it's going to take a minute while he runs from his desk and, well, just really follows the link to join us backstage. I'll share a story from a conversation the judges had a few weeks ago. When we met to pick our finalists, we started off by each sharing a company that stood out. When Stephen Yu of ViewSonic shared, his eyes lit up as he said, "Did you guys see the founders creating a safe phone calling service?" The rest of us responded with a resounding yeah. I mean, out of the 100 semifinalists, Telecom stood out to us all. It's relatable, and we're going to bring up Tavis to explain why this is a product that you all need to know about. Tavis, congratulations. How does it feel to win an Affie for Telecom?
It's pretty amazing. I'm very surprised, and appreciative. It's great.
Awesome. The judges were really blown away by Telecom. I'm not kidding. It was the first of the 100 semifinalists that we mentioned. And I would love it if you could share with the audience what Telecom is. What do you offer?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Janelle. So Telecom is a phone service for families living with cognitive challenges. As an example, when we started the company a few years back, we were really focusing on seniors with Alzheimer's and dementia. And the goal here was to solve all of the telephone problems that they were facing that resulted in either extreme frustration or just having the telephone taken away from them altogether. And it was a big goal for us, and it really hit home for us as caregivers ourselves, and so that's what we set out to try and solve it.
So Telecom will prevent scam calls, telemarketers, but it would also prevent someone with cognitive challenges from calling you potentially 20 times in 20 minutes. Is that right? Which I know is a source. All of those things can be a source of stress when you're a full-time caregiver for a family member or loved one. Seems like you're starting 2022 off pretty strong. Can you share with us what you and your co-founders hope to accomplish for Telecom in the year ahead?
Sure, absolutely. So all this time we have been concentrating on landline phones, kind of backwards, starting with old technology because seniors, in their 70s and 80s can use landline phones much longer when cell phones become confusing. However, the last quarter of the year, we started developing Telecom Mobile, so a mobile version to run on a smartphone, and allows us to expand the service to people with smartphones. So not only seniors, but also younger adults with autism or TBI or other types of cognitive issues. So it allows us to broaden that spectrum, but still solve those key issues.
Awesome. Okay, final thing. I hope you have a prominent shelf or place to display this little guy, because you and all the other winners of the Affies tonight are going to win your very own giraffe. And of course, that's in addition to the funding and the support and the ViewSonic gear. Tavis, Thank you so much. Congratulations. We'll be seeing a lot more of you. Now back to you, Irene.
Thanks.
Keep it going for Janelle Spilker. That was Hustle Fund's Director of Business Development. And I just figured out 5 seconds ago what the giraffe was for. Giraffe. I can't believe this whole time it was right in front of my eyes and I didn't know. Giraffe. Like, I don't know how I'm a comedian. That was crazy. Anyways, very cute. Enjoy the giraffe, Tavis. And now we are on to our next category. What shall we say about our next category? Well, all of our founders are forward-thinking, but some are playing even further afield. Whether it's crypto, climate tech, or other ideas on what our futures will need, the winner of the Best Frontier category is sure to impress and probably confuse us. I truly still don't really know how crypto works, but I did buy some. So here are the finalists in the Affies Best Frontier category. And to announce our winner, let's welcome back to the stage, Mary Ann Azevedo.
Thanks, Irene. Lots of incredible, impressive finalists in that category for sure. The envelope, let's see the winner. The winner of the Affie for Best Frontier is Mitero, founder Robert Luo. Congratulations to Mitero. I know that we're going to try to get him up on the stage hopefully in a moment. Hi, Eric.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for that announcement. I'm super jazzed, Mary Ann, that we can highlight Mitero. So, this one was kind of almost like science fiction when I saw it, Mary Ann. I'm not sure how you felt, but the idea of using our organic products and turning this into like plastics, something that's kind of reusable, sustainable, it felt like the future had finally arrived. I don't know whether you had a reaction to that when you saw this pitch.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was reading about it, and the way they describe it is that they take agricultural and food waste, upcycle it, engineer it to replace plastic in the food, packaging, and fashion industries. And I mind blown, right? I'm like,
Totally.
wow. I was also impressed that they've got backing from some pretty impressive companies like Unilever.
That's right.
At a very early stage. So I thought that lended some credibility as well to what they're doing.
Pretty unusual for a company that's so early to see those kinds of large enterprise partnerships starting to line up. And I hope that we can bring up the founder to just get a little bit more in his own words too. But I will share this. If you go to afaawards.com, you can see the pitch for Mitero. And it involves beer. So he kind of had me at beer because I love beer, and was talking about like how you can take some of the agricultural waste from that, the hops and so forth, to produce these sustainable goods. It's super duper exciting. And I'm getting a note from our producer Janelle that we're still looking for Rob, so we'll wait maybe a couple more seconds.
Yeah. But, in the meantime, one thing I thought that was really interesting in the pitch interview is that Rob was saying that everything they do is 100% bio-based and compostable. So that was also very impressive.
Yeah, it's really wild. And I don't know about you, Mary Ann, but like every Sunday evening when it's garbage day at my house, I'm the guy who's always collecting all the little bins and doing all the work, and it's kind of amazing how much we're throwing out. And anyway, it's great to see Robert up here solving this problem to create a sustainable plastic good. And I'll leave it to you, Mary Ann, to ask Robert in the hot seat. And congratulations, Robert, for winning in this category for the Affies.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric.
Congratulations, Robert. Great to see you here. I'm glad you can make it. We were giving the audience a little bit of a description of what Mitero does, but would love to hear more from you directly about about your mission. And also, I'm just curious. I mean, is mi tierra, does that mean my land? Is that where you got the name from in Spanish?
In fact, it is. It's a combination of Spanish and Portuguese. It means my earth.
Ah, okay. Okay, great. So yeah, tell us a little bit more. I mean, how did you come up with this?
Yeah, so I started Michero back in 2018 after I visited my uncle's dairy farm. And that's when I first witnessed the spoiled milk that he had on his farm that he couldn't sell. So initially, we were creating a solution to solve the dairy waste, turning milk waste into textile fiber. In fact, the shirt I'm wearing right now is made from our own milk waste.
Wow.
And as we going forward, we realize that there's a bigger issue in the plastic consumption all around the globe. And there's a growing trend using plant-based material. So as we continue to discover and work with one of our partners, Budweiser, we realize that they have a lot of spent grain that doesn't have a good use of it. So by partnering with Budweiser, we're able to upcycle their beer waste and turn it into compostable packaging that they can use in their own supply chain. Also at the same time, apply to other companies' usage to replace their plastic consumption.
That's fascinating, Rob. I mean, I think we can all agree what you're doing is beyond innovative, and we're so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. So congratulations again. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann.
Congratulations, Robert. I cannot wait to wear a shirt made completely out of beer or milk. I think that will be fun. Now it's time to bring up our next guest. She is the founder of House, a direct-to-consumer aperitif brand. So it's basically a booze startup, which I think is very smart. I should have thought about that when the pandemic started. Like if I had founded a booze and toilet paper startup 2 years ago, I would be so rich right now. House was started by Helena and her husband Woody in 2019. And since the pandemic started, it has grown 500%. They've been featured in TechCrunch, New York Times, New York Post, Food and Wine Magazine, Forbes, and so many more. House is so popular that they have over 3,000 people on their wait list. But you don't have to wait any longer to meet her. Please welcome Helena Price Hambrecht.
Hi, Helena. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
Hey, good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm going to start this out by asking you what I think many people always wonder. How did you come up with the idea for House? How did you go from start running your own production studio to founding this company?
That's a great question. So I, prior to House, ran a production studio that served Silicon Valley. So I'm kind of like I've been a techie since about 2009, and actually got my start working at startups in Silicon Valley. So I have a very strange but useful background in kind of just knowing how the internet sausage gets made, from watching brands get built, getting them pressed, getting them users, building campaigns, knowing how to hire people who know how to do things I don't know how to do. And then I ended up in booze kind of on accident. I married a winemaker, third-gen winemaker and grape farmer. And we joke, we're not married anymore, but we joke that it took a techie marrying a wine and spirits guy for House to exist.
Oh, that's kind of funny. Well, can you share maybe some of the challenges you faced in the early days? You started the company about 3 years ago, is that right?
We launched in summer 2019, so we're about 2.5.
Okay, well, I think we'd love to hear some of the challenges you faced, how you may have overcome them, and then what were some of those early successes as well?
Oh man, where do I start? We set out to build this alcohol company of the future. And at the time that had not been done before. It's kind of the last industry to be disrupted outside of pharmaceuticals, I think, because it's a 3-tier system. It's like prohibition era rules. Long story short, very hard to disrupt. But we found a way to do it. There was a little regulatory loophole that allowed us to build this company on the internet. And that, right off the bat, I was like, this is in the bag, right? Like, we're going to disrupt this industry. Like, everybody's going to get it. It's like Silicon Valley is going to be all over it. It was not that easy. I would say raising money was so much harder than I expected. I'd been in Silicon Valley for a decade, so I knew a ton of people. I figured, it'd be a couple $1 million piece of cake. That was not the case.
Right.
For one, I didn't know that alcohol, most funds can't invest in alcohol. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
There's this thing called the vice clause. And if you've taken money from an LP that doesn't like vices, like the Church of England or Saudi Arabia or places like that, you can't invest in vices. So that knocks out a lot of Silicon Valley for us. And then the rest had never invested in alcohol before. So they were generally averse to the idea of touching an industry that was so heavily regulated and kind of out of their wheelhouse. But, what I ended up doing was something pretty non-traditional at the time, maybe still so now, where I just raised from angels over and over and over and over and over again. We've raised on a number of rolling notes now. I've never had anyone lead a round for us. We'll do it eventually, but we ended up having our company funded for a couple of years by angels and like a handful of small checks from funds. Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to work around some of those limitations. I didn't realize that. It does kind of make sense though, and I could see where that may have limited your options for fundraising early on. So good work around. Tell me a little bit about your growth in terms of the company and your team, and then I'd love to hear like some advice for people in terms of growing a company and just formation in general.
Yeah, gosh, I've learned so much. I mean, I had a production company. I've never built a startup in my life. A lot of founders are first-time founders, so we all go through this. But I didn't know what I was doing. But I think what's amazing is if you just come into this with a mindset of learning and knowing that you are going to make a ton of mistakes and that there's no one way of doing anything, you're going to go far, right? Like, again, we fundraised in a way that was not by the book. We did just about everything not by the book. And I have found that the more that I've trusted my gut, as opposed to listening to one other person or trying to fit in with what everybody else is doing or being too worried about, I don't know, just fitting in general, that's when we've kind of steered in the wrong direction. So, I mean, long story short, we've grown a lot. I mean, we've sold, into the 8 figures of booze in just 2.5 years. That's been really awesome. We found that people really wanted what we made. People had only seen kind of crappy corporate alcohol products and they'd never seen anything like us before. So it wasn't too hard to convince people to try us out. We've had to make a ton of adjustments, like COVID, for instance. We were a brand that was built around gathering and sharing.
Yeah.
And, we were only 6 months old when COVID kind of ripped that all apart. And so we had to rethink kind of how we marketed ourselves, people rethink like, what does gathering look like today? Is it over Zoom? Is it with your parents who you live with? Is it with your partner that you've been stuck with for 2 years? Like, who knows? But really like the kind of theme for, I think, why we've been able to survive all these different chapters is we've just been really, really adaptable and tried not to hold too dear to any way of doing things.
So it sounds like some of your early success is based on a few things. One, kind of that authenticity and staying true to yourself and your vision, and not necessarily trying to mold just what someone else's idea of what your company should be. So that's admirable. And also just obviously having to roll with the punches. Nobody expected COVID to happen. Everyone had to kind of adapt accordingly. And it sounds like you did that. I'd love to hear from you directly. What do you think, what is different about your booze, as you say, as opposed to what most of us are used to consuming?
Yeah, most people don't actually know what they're drinking. You know what I mean? Like I spent the first few years of my career bartending. So I got to know the booze world really well because I served it to a lot of people. And it became pretty obvious to me that most things were owned by corporations. It was very interesting to me that there were never any ingredient lists. You never quite knew what things were made of or where they were made. And I didn't know actually how bad it was until I married into the industry. and learned that, oh, most people think wine's made of grapes. Actually, there's over 40 things that can be in wine that's federally approved, and they don't have to share it with you. And liquor, most corporate liquor is made with all of these additives. It's like, the best way I can describe it is you're drinking McDonald's. And if you feel really bad after drinking, it's not just because of the alcohol content, it's because of all the other crap that's in the bottle. So that was one of the main things that we wanted to do, is introduce this new kind of booze that not only had less alcohol in it than corporate liquor, something that was designed to not get you totally blackout on accident, but also not made of trash. Again, it sounds like very basic, and every other industry's gotten here, but alcohol hasn't. And then because we were able to launch on the internet and we didn't have to worry about what these traditional gatekeepers thought about our design or our concept, we could reinvent those things too. So we made a bottle that didn't have any sales language on it. We created this really elaborate online experience that was full of education, because people don't really know what to do with aperitifs in America. It was on us to teach them. Like, it really allowed us to create this experience that, again, people were really used to in other industries, but had never seen in booze before. So the bar was really low in a lot of ways. So when we thought about, the way we built this company and the way we built this experience, we didn't really look to alcohol as a model. We look to, how have all these other industries innovated to match what today's consumer cares about, and how can we be that company for booze?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually very interesting, because you have mentioned, I've read an interview in the past that you're kind of obsessed with consumer trends. So that's what I was wondering, is like how you develop that understanding of how's this target market, and how you leverage that understanding to win over customers and gain traction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in large part, just because I'd been sitting around Silicon Valley and observing, right? I was here in the Warby Parker, Everlane, Away, that era of CPG 1.0. And I'd seen all these other industries being disrupted and really checking a lot of the same boxes, right? Because they understood what millennials and eventually Gen Z really cared about. And again, like, it just was bananas to me that here was this entire industry, like $280 billion industry that people consume a lot of, and nothing was happening. Like, the most innovation I could find was like a Kettle One botanical. It was nothing.
Well, good for you. That's amazing. Really impressive what you've done so far. Thank you for sharing your experience with our audience. Great talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Helena. And I will be sending you my address later for you to send me some of that booze. All right. Bring the house to my house. Now it is time for the Best Creator Award. This is the final category that the judges were able to choose, because the last category was chosen by the people. I know we're here to award the Best Creator, but can we just for a second talk about the worst creator? I'm talking about Jake Paul. Yeah, he went from being a content creator on YouTube to being an annoyingly arrogant but surprisingly good boxer, and I feel very weird about that. The creator economy has taken off like a rocket, and with it, a whole new category of products that support the creators of the world. So the finalists in the Affies Best Creator category are... Please join me in welcoming our final judge to the stage, someone who isn't too shabby in the creative space, Senior Global Marketing Director at ViewSonic, Stephen Yu. Stephen is not here yet, so let's see what else we got in the chat. Any other ideas? Oh, someone was saying that...
Thank you so very much, Irene. Hello, my name is Stephen Yu, the Global Marketing Director of ViewSonic. It has been a real honor and pleasure working with everybody at Hustle Fund, and as well as everybody in my team, to see this incredible group of people invest so much of their time and energy into showing us their ideas. The next award is really close to my heart, as for most of my life I've been involved with creatives. So, without further ado, I'd like to present the Best Creator Affie. It goes to Collab, the founder, Helen Huang. Great job, and make us proud.
Oh, thanks, Stephen. And I'm sorry, Irene, that he interrupted you, but we'll be sure to bring you back up soon. Collab was founded by Helen Huang and Seifumi Osanake. And while they join us on stage, I'd like to tell you a little about their journey to the tech world, because neither of them had the same journey, but they have founded Collab together. So Helen was an earth sciences major who got into tech after applying to 500 jobs. Talk about tenacity. She landed at Microsoft, and having left just last March, it's safe to say that she did what so many founders do. She was building a company from scratch while working full time. Seifumi is no stranger to tech or the startup world himself, having started his own company back in 2014. He's also held product roles at Microsoft, Apple, and various startups. But get this, he's also an author. If you visit joincollab.io, you can get a taste of what they've created by taking their free course, How to Create a Great Elevator Pitch, presented by Helen. Seen as though Helen is the founder who pitched us, I'd say, founders, you want to tune into what she has to say. Can we bring Helen up onto the stage? Congrats, Helen.
Hi, thank you so much. Unfortunately, Shifumi couldn't join us today, but he's cheering on the sidelines.
Well, at least we have you. So this has to feel pretty good. Can you tell me, did you guys have any bets going on beforehand as to whether you would win or not?
Not really. But we did talk about how I would take home the workstation setup. Just kidding. We did not, but he's not on this call, so I get it by default.
Okay, and then definitely don't tell him about the giraffes, because we'll just send this to you. So can you tell us all a little about what you have created at Collab?
Yeah, actually, to give you all some background as well. So previously at Collab, we were focused on building out our own cohort-based programming. So we had this program where we helped aspiring non-traditional technologists break into the industry by getting them to work together in teams and shipping real products. So sort of like learning by doing, project-based learning, but all within a team. So as we continued to build out that program, we realized that we were having a lot of issues when it came to scale. Right? The more students there were, the less engaging it was for each individual student. And we started to get a lot of people from different time zones that were interested, but time zones and like matching with your instructor, it was always sort of just annoying to facilitate for both sides. And so in the middle of last year, we decided to build our own platform to essentially facilitate live classes at scale without the need of an instructor. So what that means is, let's say you're taking a class, right? You're not watching it by yourself. It's not a YouTube video, but instead you're automatically put into a small classroom with just 3 or 4 other people. And together you're watching content, you're having discussions, you're sharing your thoughts, and that's how classes happen, right? And so it really places the student in an active position rather than just a passive sort of consumption education position. And so that's sort of the stage where we're at right now, building out our platform along with our programming and delivering that to folks and working with external creators as well.
Amazing. I think that probably resonates with a lot of people who are here in the audience. We've all been either helping kids with online learning or taking courses, and also just trying to figure out how to connect on content like that. So final question. What are you most excited about working on this year as a now winner of the Affies?
Yay. So I think, yeah, Shifumi and I are really excited to be spending the first half of this year really just bringing hands-on education to be more accessible to the masses. So what we're doing right now is we're expanding and just working with partners and providing a bunch of scholarships for people to go through our program specifically, so that we'll get more information, we'll understand how effectively they learn, basically be able to refine our own platform before taking it forward and working with external creators on their own boot camps and programming.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to work with you, and we're so excited that you are part of Acceleration for All. Thank you, Helen, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Congratulations. All right, it's time for our final giveaway. And walking away with a $50 gift certificate to the Hustle Fund merch store is Ella Rosewood. So congratulations, Ella. And that brings us to the final award, the People's Choice Award. This is a special award because it was chosen by all of you. And we know that support and community are a major part of early stage founder success. And this award is a nod to our appreciation of you, the friends, family, fans, and supporters of these founders. Over 2,500 of you voted. You decided, and I've been given the honor to announce the winner, chosen from the 20 finalists. And this was so special and secretive that they mailed me the envelope, which I have here, with the winner's name in there. By the way, I hope they didn't send me the wrong one. You know, like that one year where La La Land won Best Picture, but it was supposed to be Moonlight. So I hope the mailman didn't switch out the envelope. That would be tragic. But assuming this is correct, virtual drum roll, please. The winner of the Affies 2022 People's Choice Award goes to Before Noon, founded by Danielle Lumeta and Natasha Wong. And as Haley brings up Danielle, I would like to invite Eric Bond, co-founder of Hustle Fund, back to the stage.
Congratulations, Danielle and team. Before Noon team, amazing. You are the most popular person out of 1,500 people. I can't say that coming from the high school I came out of. I was probably number 1498. But it's a big honor. Your peers, your family, your friends, those in the tech community have selected you as and recognized you as a special winner. So maybe I can actually just share a couple of words about what got us excited about Before Noon when we saw that they're going to be selected as the People's Choice winner. So Before Noon, you should check it out. Go to beforenoon.co. This is a company that's all about awareness. Self-care. And in addition to that, there's a spiritual component to it. And actually, instead of me sharing what Before Noon is all about, we got Danielle on the stage. Congratulations to you for winning the People's Choice Award. Hopefully you can hear us.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm hearing double, but I think, can you hear me now?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is so exciting. I am at home with my partner and we were just joking about how I didn't think we would win. And at the same moment you announced my name. So that's crazy.
It's sort of interesting how the universe works like that. And, for folks in the audience here today who are new to Before Noon, do you want to share a little bit about what your startup does and maybe a bit about your personal journey that led you to Before Noon as well?
Yes. So Before Noon is a self-care club. We offer holistic therapy group classes. So ecstatic dance, tarot, sleep meditation, and energy. And how we came about, so the founder team is me and my co-founder, Natasha, who couldn't be here today. But we had each gone through our own personal challenges. So for me, I had navigated burnout. I had previously worked in consulting and was feeling really disillusioned with my career. At the same time, had a really terrible heart people can relate to. And so was trying to find something to help me break the patterns that I saw myself repeating, and found that in what's called holistic therapy. So it's therapies outside of the traditional Western medicine system. So things like talk therapies underneath that, acupuncture, energy healing, and whatnot. And so I had found it so powerful that I was like, why don't more people know about this? And so we founded Before Noon.
Fantastic. You're right now speaking in front of your peers, founders, investors, the tech community. As someone who's been a participant in this community for a while, you know how intense it is and how much cortisol we all live with
Yes.
in terms of building these incredible companies. If with Before Noon, and just as someone who is so dedicated to self-care and wellness for others, what goals do you have for maybe founders and people in the tech community when it comes to their wellness? And what kind of journey would you want us to explore, maybe through your firm, or just as we enter this third year of the pandemic even?
Yeah, it seems kind of counterintuitive. However, rest is one that I've been hearing a lot from our Before Noon community, where people are feeling so stressed and kind of strung out and burnt out from the pandemic. And so encouraging people to find time to rest. And the second, I think, which is really important, and what Before Noon ultimately stands for, is this concept of self-actualization,
Mm.
meaning digging into that radical inner transparency to figure out like what motivates you, what lights you up, and what unique journey do you want to be on, which I'm 100% certain COVID definitely precipitated for most people.
Certainly. Well, and speaking of journeys, we are honored at Hustle Fund to be taking this journey with you as well, to play a small part in your success and building out Before Noon into something that so many of us can enjoy in the future. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you
Thank
for
you.
being selected as People's Choice winner.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I think, Irene, we're getting pretty close to the wrap up here. So let me see where we're at right now. I didn't know if it was my turn to share comments or yours, actually. I think I'll go. So let me just say that, before we wrap. Okay, sorry, a little bit of technical hiccup there. See, we made it super far before any little flubs right there. So, of course, in the final couple of minutes here. But I'd love to share a couple things before I hand it back to you, Irene, to do the full wrap up here. We're wrapping up the acceleration for all awards, the Affies. Again, we had over 1,500 applications this year. And to the founders who applied, every single one of you, thank you all so much. It's been an honor to interact with all of you at the beginning stages of your journey. And we hope that you're excited about a year ahead of success and hustle. And as a co-founder of Hustle Fund, I want to also thank the ViewSonic team for this awesome partnership. It's a bit weird to think of a leading electronics and services company like ViewSonic teaming up with a small venture capital firm like Hustle Fund. But we share a couple things in common. This project became so special to us because we realized that we all want the same thing. We love founders, and we all want to see them succeed, and we're serving them in our own unique way. And it's been a delight to work with you, Team ViewSonic. Very much hope that founders today will view ViewSonic as a key partner and resource to build their journeys ahead. And also think about Hustle Fund too if you need a little bit of money as well. I also want to send a huge thanks to my teammate, Haley Bryant. She's been the producer of today's show, as well as Janelle Spilker, who has been driving the entire effort for the Affies on the Hustle Fund end. So lucky and blessed to work with these amazing teammates every day. A huge thank you also goes to Mary Ann Azevedo, our awesome guest judge and one of our favorite tech writers of all time at TechCrunch. So glad that we could do this with you as well. And finally, thank you to Irene Tu and our awesome show MC today. I laughed so much. I actually might have destroyed my keyboard from spitting out coffee. Some of it might have come out my nose too. It was that exuberant. Some of the laughs on my end. We're really honored to have a rising star comedian like yourself signed up for this awards project. So thank you as well, Irene. And I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you so much, Eric, Janelle, Hustle Fund, ViewSonic, for having me host the Affies. I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. Congratulations to all the winners. And if you liked my comedy, you can follow me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, at Irene_Tu, that's TU, or come see me at a live show. And again, I am accepting any and all seed funding. I don't really know what the requirements are if I get the money. I think I have to give you something, but we can work it out. So feel free to email me, hit me up if you want me to do something. But again, thank you guys so much for having me. I've been your host, Irene Tu. Thank you all and have a great night.